The red morning sky over Phoenix should have been their first warning. Colonel Olivia Blackwood stood on the observation deck of Sunhawk Base, her eyes fixed on the unusual atmospheric disturbance. 20 years of military service had taught her to trust her instincts, and right now every nerve in her body was screaming danger. "Colonel, you need to see this," Lieutenant James Rodriguez called from the communications room. The urgency in his voice made her stomach drop. On the main screen, dozens of objects were breaching the atmosphere. Massive vessels shaped like obsidian arrowheads, each one larger than an aircraft carrier. Within hours, similar reports flooded in from every major city across the globe. Beijing, London, New York, Moscow, all reporting the same phenomenon. The vessels hung in the sky like dark stars, silent and waiting. Humanity held its collective breath. First contact came not with a message of peace, but with devastating precision. The Rakari, as they would later be known, struck without warning or mercy. Their energy weapons carved through skyscrapers like butter, their shields deflecting everything Earth's military could throw at them. Colonel Blackwood organized the evacuation of Phoenix even as the city burned around them. "Get those civilians to the underground bunkers," she shouted, helping a young mother with 2 children into an armored transport. Above them, a Rakari warship cast its shadow, its hull gleaming with strange purple symbols that pulsed like heartbeats. The first wave of ground forces descended in drop pods, crystalline structures that shattered upon impact, releasing their deadly cargo. The Rakari warriors stood 9 feet tall, their biomechanical armor making them look more machine than organic. Their 4-fingered hands gripped weapons that seemed to drink in light itself. "Standard ammunition is useless," reported Sergeant David Walsh, his voice crackling over the tactical network. "Their personal shields are too strong. We need something bigger." Blackwood watched in horror as a tank battalion engaged one of the alien squadrons. The M1 Abrams, pride of the U.S. Army, might as well have been firing spitballs. The Rakari response was devastating. Beams of concentrated plasma that reduced the tanks to molten slag. But humanity wasn't going down without a fight. In the chaos of the evacuation, Blackwood noticed something crucial. The alien shields flickered momentarily when hit by the electromagnetic pulse from a destroyed power station. It wasn't much, but it was something. "Rodriguez," she called over the comm, "get me everything you can on their shield technology. There's a pattern here we're missing." The day stretched into night, and the sky burned with an unnatural aurora, the aftermath of atmospheric ionization from the alien weapons. Blackwood led her remaining forces into the emergency command center buried deep beneath the desert. The facility had been built during the Cold War, designed to withstand nuclear strikes. Now it would serve as humanity's last line of defense. Dr. Winston Pierce, the base's lead scientist, was already analyzing data from the attacks. "Their technology operates on principles we barely understand," he explained, his hands moving rapidly over holographic displays. "But they're not invincible. Every system has its breaking point." The first day of the invasion ended with half of Earth's major cities in ruins. The Rakari established their primary base in the Siberian wilderness, their massive command ship hovering above like a metallic mountain. Conventional military forces lay in shambles. Government struggled to maintain order, and millions of refugees fled to the countryside. But in that underground bunker in Arizona, Colonel Blackwood and her team were already planning humanity's response. They had lost the first battle, but the war was far from over. As she studied the tactical displays showing the spread of alien forces, Blackwood made a silent vow. They would find a way to fight back. They would find a way to win. "They think they've broken us," she addressed her remaining officers, her voice steady despite the exhaustion. "They think we'll submit, but they don't understand what they've really done." She pointed to the map of alien positions. "They haven't just invaded our world. They've given us a reason to unite. And united, humanity is capable of things that would terrify even them." The war for Earth had begun, and the invaders were about to learn a harsh lesson about underestimating human resilience. 3 months into the invasion, humanity had learned harsh lessons about survival. In the depths of a repurposed mining facility beneath the Colorado Rockies, Dr. Winston Pierce stared at the dissected remains of a Rekari energy weapon. The alien technology had finally begun to yield its secrets. The breakthrough came from their power cells, he explained to Colonel Blackwood, who stood nearby reviewing casualty reports. They don't just generate energy. They create microfields of altered physical laws. That's how their weapons cut through our strongest armor like paper. But the real discovery lay in understanding their weakness. The Rekari shields operated on a synchronized frequency, a complex pattern that repeated every 3.7 seconds. It wasn't much, but it was a crack in their seemingly impenetrable defense. If we can disrupt that frequency, Pierce continued, his eyes bright with possibility, we might be able to create a cascade failure across their entire defense network. The resistance had grown stronger in the months since the initial invasion. Small victories had given people hope. A guerrilla team in Brazil had successfully hijacked a Rekari scout ship. Australian special forces had captured an alien communications relay. Each small win brought more crucial intelligence. Commander Rachel Hayes, leader of the European resistance, joined the briefing via a secure quantum channel. Her face bore fresh scars from a recent skirmish. We've confirmed that their command structure is hierarchical, she reported. Each regional force answers to a superior, and all superiors answer to their supreme commander, designation Thanatos. Blackwood's team had named their plan Operation Stormbreaker. It was audacious, perhaps even suicidal, but it offered the first real chance of turning the tide. The key lay in disrupting the Rekari's carefully ordered military structure. Their greatest strength is also their greatest weakness, Blackwood explained to the assembled resistance leaders. They operate like a perfectly synchronized machine. But what happens to a machine when you jam a wrench into its gears? The plan required simultaneous strikes across the globe. While the main resistance forces would launch coordinated attacks on Rekari ground installations, elite infiltration teams would target their command ships. The goal: plant specially designed electromagnetic pulse devices that would match and then disrupt their shield frequencies. Lieutenant Rodriguez, now heading the communications division, had cracked part of the alien encryption. They're overconfident, he reported. Their internal communications suggest they consider us primitive, barely worth the resources they're expending. They don't expect us to understand their technology, let alone use it against them. The preparation took weeks. Every resistance cell had to be briefed, every piece of salvaged alien tech repurposed. Dr. Pierce worked tirelessly with his team, converting the theoretical breakthrough into practical weapons. In the armory, Sergeant Walsh trained special forces teams with modified weapons designed to exploit the shield frequency weakness. Hit them in the sweet spot, he instructed, and even their strongest armor becomes vulnerable. The human spirit proved remarkably adaptable. Engineers who once designed smartphones now crafted countermeasures to alien technology. Former video game designers used their skills to create virtual training simulations for resistance fighters. Every survivor contributed what they could to the cause. Blackwood spent long hours studying Rekari battle tactics. They fight like they've never faced real resistance before, she observed. Every move is textbook perfect, but they lack improvisation. They don't adapt well to chaos. The resistance would use that rigid thinking against them. The plan called for seemingly random attacks, carefully orchestrated to appear uncoordinated. The Rekari would see disordered when they were actually facing a meticulously planned strategy. As the day of the operation approached, Blackwood gathered her officers for final preparations. Everything changes tomorrow, she said, her voice carrying the weight of command. We've learned their ways, adapted to their technology, and found their weaknesses. Now we show them that humanity doesn't break. We evolve. In bases and bunkers around the world, resistance fighters made ready. They cleaned their weapons, checked their equipment, and said their prayers. Tomorrow would determine whether humanity would remain free or become another conquered species in the Rekari Empire. The time had come to break the chains of invasion, to prove that humanity's greatest strength lay not in technology or weapons, but in their indomitable will to survive. The next phase of the war was about to begin, and this time, Earth's defenders were ready. Under the cover of a moonless night, Colonel Blackwood's infiltration team moved through the ruins of what had once been downtown Denver. Above them, the massive Rekari command ship hovered like a dark cloud, its surface rippling with strange energies. The strike team consisted of 12 of Earth's finest warriors. Master Sergeant Takeda, an expert in stealth operations, led the advance team. Behind him, Dr. Pierce carried the experimental disruption device, humanity's best hope for victory. The rest of the team carried a mix of modified human weapons and repurposed Rekari technology. Command, initiating Phase 1. Blackwood whispered into her secure comm. Similar teams worldwide were moving into position, each targeting key Rekari installations. The success of Operation Sunstrike depended on perfect synchronization. They approached the alien security perimeter. The Rekari had grown complacent in their occupation, their patrols following predictable patterns. Sergeant Takeda signaled the team to halt as a patrol passed overhead, their anti-gravity units humming softly in the night air. Dr. Pierce activated the cloaking technology they'd reversed engineered from captured Rekari equipment. It wouldn't fool their sensors for long, but it didn't need to. They just needed enough time to reach the ship's access point. Remember, Blackwood reminded her team, we're not here to fight. Speed and stealth are our allies. They had studied the Rekari ship designs, learned their protocols, and identified their blind spots. Now it was time to put that knowledge to the test. The team reached the gravity lift, the Rekari equivalent of an elevator. Takeda's tech specialist, Private First Class Rivera, interfaced their hacked control unit with the alien systems. For a tense moment, nothing happened. Then the lift activated, its purple energy field encompassing the team. Inside the command ship, the true scale of alien technology became apparent. Corridors stretched for kilometers, filled with pulsing energy conduits and strange biomechanical interfaces. The air itself seemed to hum with power. 5 minutes until global strike begins, Rodriguez's voice came through their comms. Across the planet, resistance forces were preparing to launch simultaneous attacks, designed to draw attention away from the infiltration teams. They encountered their first real obstacle at a security checkpoint. 2 Rekari warriors stood guard, their armor gleaming under the ship's internal lights. Before the aliens could react, Takeda's team struck. Electromagnetic pulse grenades disrupted their shields, followed by precise shots from modified rifles. The guards fell without raising an alarm. This way, Dr. Pierce whispered, consulting his scanner. The primary shield generator is 3 levels up. Once we plant the disruptor, we'll have exactly 8 minutes to clear the blast radius. The team moved through the ship's winding corridors, avoiding main passages and security stations. Occasionally, they heard the heavy footsteps of Rekari patrols, but their timing and planning helped them remain undetected. They reached the shield generator chamber just as the global attack began. Through the ship's viewport, they could see explosions lighting up the night sky as resistance forces engaged Rekari positions across the city. All teams, report status. Blackwood commanded while Dr. Pierce worked to place the disruptor. Similar operations were underway in other command ships around the world. Success required all teams to strike simultaneously. London team, in position. Beijing team, ready. Moscow team, standing by. Sydney team, prepared to engage. Dr. Pierce connected the final circuits on the disruptor. The device hummed to life, its core pulsing with the same frequency as the Rekari shields. Disruptor armed. 8 minutes mark. Now, that's when everything went wrong. An alarm blared through the ship, its alien tones piercing their ears. Multiple human strike teams detected, A Rekari voice boomed through the ship's communication system. "All warriors to battle stations." "Time to go loud," Blackwood ordered, switching her weapon to full power. The stealth phase was over. Now they had to fight their way out through an awakening hornet's nest of alien warriors. The corridors erupted in chaos as Rekari troops converged on their position. The team's modified weapons proved their worth, punching through alien shields with precisely timed pulses. But the enemy had numbers on their side. 5 minutes to detonation, Dr. Pierce called out as they fought their way toward the extraction point. The ship shuddered around them as the resistance attack intensified outside. Everything depended on their escape now, and the success of every other infiltration team around the world. The war's turning point hung in the balance, measured in bullets, blood, and seconds ticking away on a countdown that would change everything. The final moments of Operation Sunstrike unfolded in a symphony of chaos. Colonel Blackwood's team fought through waves of Rekari warriors, their path to extraction marked by the glow of plasma fire and electromagnetic pulses. Above them, the command ship's alarms continued their deafening wail. 3 minutes to detonation, Dr. Pierce shouted over the commotion. The team had reached the gravity lift, but Rekari forces had cut power to the system. Sergeant Takeda quickly rigged emergency rappel lines as enemy fire intensified around them. "All teams, status report," Blackwood commanded while providing covered fire. The responses came in between bursts of static. "London successful, withdrawing under heavy fire." "Beijing team clear, disruptor active." "Moscow, static, heavy casualties but device planted." "Sydney team, static, mission accomplished." They began their descent, dropping through the massive ship's levels as Rekari troops fired from multiple angles. Private Rivera took a plasma blast to the shoulder, but continued providing supporting fire with his good arm. The ship suddenly lurched violently. Through the external viewports, they could see other Rekari vessels beginning to lose stability. The disruption was starting, earlier than expected. The frequencies were cascading faster than their calculations had predicted. 1 minute, Pierce warned, as they reached ground level. The team sprinted through the ruins of Denver, alien energy bolts scorching the air around them. Above them, the massive command ship's surface rippled with unstable energy patterns. Then it happened. Across the globe, at precisely the same moment, the disruptors activated. The careful harmonics of Rekari shield technology shattered. Their energy weapons backfired. Their gravity systems failed. Their impenetrable defenses crumbled. The night sky lit up brighter than day as Rekari ships lost power and fell from the heavens. The mighty warriors, stripped of their technological advantages, found themselves vulnerable for the first time. The resistance forces, prepared for this moment, struck with everything they had. "This is Commander Hayes," the European resistance leader's voice crackled over the global command channel. "Rekari forces in disarray across all sectors. Their command structure is collapsing." In the chaos, something unexpected happened. The Rekari Supreme Commander, Thanatos, broadcast an open transmission, not just to his forces, but to all of Earth. His voice carried a tone the invaders had never shown before: respect. "We have underestimated you," the alien leader admitted. "In all our conquests across 12 galaxies, we have never encountered a species with such adaptability, such determination. We offer our surrender." The war ended not with a dramatic final battle, but with a revelation. The Rekari, for all their advanced technology and military might, had forgotten something crucial. The most dangerous opponent isn't the one with the biggest weapons, but the one who refuses to accept defeat. 1 year later, Colonel Blackwood stood in the rebuilt United Nations headquarters in New York. Earth had changed. Humanity had changed. The recovery would take decades, but they had gained something invaluable: unity, purpose, and the knowledge that they could face anything the universe threw at them. The Rekari taught us something important. She addressed the assembled leaders of Earth's United Defense Force. They showed us that humanity's greatest strength isn't in our weapons or our technology. It's in our spirit, our ability to adapt, to unite, and to rise from the ashes stronger than before. Above the rebuilt cities, the stars shone with a new meaning. Humanity was no longer alone in the universe, and they were no longer vulnerable. They had faced extinction and emerged victorious. The message to any future would-be invaders was clear. Earth was not to be underestimated. The Rakari invasion had failed, but in failing, it had forged humanity into something stronger. They were ready now, ready for whatever challenges the vast cosmos might bring. Earth's defenders had not just survived. They had evolved. The story of the failed invasion would be told for generations, not as a tale of alien superiority, but as a testament to human resilience. In the end, it wasn't superior technology that won the war. It was the unbreakable human spirit. And somewhere in the depths of space, other civilizations took note. Earth was not to be trifled with. The planet of humans had earned its place among the stars.